Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper, Takedown Wrestling Media. Our coverage of the sport continues. This time we head to Cedar Falls, Iowa. The news there. Well, Lee Roper has joined the staff, the co-founder of the Compound Wrestling Facilities in McDonough, Georgia. He joins us. Lee, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I tell you what, Georgia was, man, I'm fond of that place and it's great, but I tell you what, I'm loving Iowa so far. I might really be a Midwest boy at heart. I just never knew it.
You never knew it indeed. Well, in this point, you're going to be able to prove it out on the campus of the University of Northern Iowa, the home of the Surging Panthers. Let's talk a little bit about how it all happened, because you and Cliff Fretwell, everybody that's done a yeoman's job down in Georgia bringing college wrestling back to the Georgia schools and high schools. It's amazing the growth of wrestling down there, and it seems like it all started in and around Compound and the guys at Takedown Shop, and everybody down there's got their heart in the right place. As a matter of fact, Georgia's hosting the All-Star Classic this year.
That's right.
So how did the trip to the University of Northern Iowa and the move to Iowa happen for you?
Well, man, first off, I was really fortunate to be in the situation I was at in Georgia and having a guy like Cliff do everything he could for me so I could reach some of the goals and dreams I had coaching, man. It really was a tough decision, but I'd say I was fortunate enough to bring Doug down for a camp about 5 years ago, and I tell you, we spoke the same language and we hit it off, and just the relationship kept going. I brought him down every year after that to do an intensive camp, and man, you know the way life works out. You start getting, I don't know, a kind of a feeling that I needed a little bit more growth in my life, that I needed a change. So I thought, all right, well, I'll take what I'm doing here in Georgia and take it to another state and let it spread out. And then just the way life works, man, Iowa kept popping up and opportunities to move out that way, and reached out to Doug and told him that, man, I'm thinking about making that move. And it's like, well, if you're moving out this way, I'm really going to think about getting you through a job. So we sat down and talked a little bit more, and a few weeks later, here I am driving through the cornfields out from Georgia.
Our guest, the new assistant at University of Northern Iowa, joining a incredibly talented staff, is Lee Roper. And Lee has coached some of the best already, including former All-American for UNI, Joey Laser, and current Panther, Jake Hodges. So it's not like you haven't had your touch on these kids already, some of them anyway, and many of those that are making their way out of these Georgia schools as we're talking. You were a four-year starter at App State yourself in an NCAA qualifier back in 2003. Are today's kids different than they were, say, in 2003 when you were active as an athlete? Or do we just have a different focus, or are they different?
I don't know if it's necessarily different, because I don't have the coaching experience to really say, but I mean, I think if you really tap into it and you feed into, I don't know, a guy's pride, that they're going to respond in a good way. Because you always hear people talk about how this generation's lazy and there's not any leaders, and I always respond to that. But like, man, if you really believe that, if that's something that you feel, like, come in the wrestling room, see how hard these guys are working, see how good of people they are, and see the young leaders that are growing in the wrestling room. That's one of the reasons we need to promote this sport better, because I truly believe we have some of the best people outside of any other sport. And I always hear that all the time too, that these athletes are different, and you probably have to approach them a different way, because family structure and family life's a little bit different than it was before. But man, I really think if you reach to the heart of a kid and start getting that pride candle to start burning, man, I think kids are kids. They want to be great at it, and all you got to do is tap into that a little bit.
Lee Roper, our guest. Lee, do you believe wrestling in the U.S. is headed in the right direction? It seems to me as if, for example, USA Wrestling Women's, the women freestyle artists that are out there, we're getting stronger there, but is wrestling as a whole getting stronger in the U.S.?
Oh, I think so, especially in the international wrestling too. You're starting to see an emphasis on it again. Before, like back when I was coming through, and it was probably the rules the way it were. It was so different than folk style wrestling. It was hard to get the best guys in the country out at a young age and going overseas to wrestle this tournament. Now we've got guys that are doing it all the time. So I really think it's headed in a good direction, and I think MMA is having a good bit to do with that too, that it's making the sport a little bit more public to the general masses. And hopefully it continues to grow, and we keep getting these guys out here and have Olympic aspirations and dreams, and it keeps growing, man.
We're talking with Lee Roper. He'll be making his presence known at the University of Northern Iowa as the newest member of the staff. And one of the things that they wanted to make an impact with and a change with was that impact that the coaching staff had on the middleweights. And that's one of the areas you've absolutely succeeded at.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's getting on the mat with them, or maybe it's just the experience with body type. But been fortunate enough. I've had some awesome kids around those weights that have done just about whatever I've asked them to. So starting to do the same thing with some of the guys now. And man, I tell you what, it's just Doug and Mark and Tolly and Randy have just done an unbelievable job in West Gym creating a wrestling culture. And I'm fortunate to be a part of it. And these guys are making me better every day. I mean, I know you've gotten to be around them a lot, but a guy I'm working with, Cooper Moore, a pretty good bit outside of his phenomenal wrestling talents. And I really think he's going to have a great season this year. He's one of those kids, man, that you want to be around. He's a phenomenal person, and he's just a great guy, man. He's already having a big influence on me and makes my neck pretty sore about twice a week, too.
Oh, man. That's the biggest complaint most wrestling coaches have is that the amount of time the kids spend hanging on the neck. Well,
No,
that's what we coach them, and by God, you got to be careful what you wish for, right?
that's right. It's a good day when they beat you up. It's a good day.
So you get up every morning. You think about wrestling. You go to bed every night. You think about wrestling. Not a whole lot of time during the day you don't think about wrestling. The passion had to come from somewhere. I mean, where did it start for you?
I guess it really comes, I mean, mostly from my parents. They were just those people that, man, they supported everything I ever did. And my dad's work ethic was just, it's something that had a profound impact on me when I was a young guy. And just whatever he was going to do, whether it was his job or playing baseball in the backyard with my brother and I. He put everything he had into it. And when you're kind of raised around that you just kind of turn into it. And that's what you expect out of life. And he set me off in the right direction with that. My mom was just one of those people that whatever my brother and I wanted to do, she supported 100%. She drove me all around the country, getting me to wrestling tournaments and sending me to camps. And she was just one of those ladies that really instilled that no matter how big your dream is, that if you're willing to put one foot in front of the other for a bunch of days in a row, you can achieve it. So I guess really that passion comes from them and just the passion they put in at life. And I've had a lot of people that have mentored me along the way too. And I mean, that list keeps growing each and every day. But I've just been fortunate enough to be around a lot of motivated people and just trying to follow in their footsteps.
Lee, if you think about UNI's incoming recruiting class, which Intermat ranks as number 4 nationally behind only Arizona State, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia. Number 4 ranking is not a bad class to come in with, is it?
No, it's not a bad thing, but as Doug likes to say all the time, that ranking on paper doesn't mean a whole lot. So we got to go out there and start putting some wins on the wrestling mat, and that's where we'll decide how good of a recruiting class it is. But again, it goes to the fact that that's a phenomenal group of guys. I've gotten to be around most of them so far, and just I mean, outside of the wrestling and the work ethic and all that stuff too, they've got their head on their shoulders, man. They've got some big plans for their life, and it's not just talk. They're putting the actions out there too. So I'm enjoying them. I'm looking forward to getting them around them more and having those guys make me better. It's gonna be a fun year with those guys coming in for sure.
Well, we get through the World Championships taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, the 7th through the 13th in Las Vegas at the Orleans Arena. Plus, we have to add in the All-Star Classic, but then we get down to business. November 15th, you guys open up the season at the Journeyman 86 Northeast Duels in Albany, New York. How do you see this whole thing shaking out as you make your way just days later against Missouri, the reigning conference champs of the MAC?
Yeah, that's something the guys have got circled on their calendar that they're really looking for. And I tell you, man, we had a phenomenal summer, and seeing the growth some guys made, they really put a lot of work into. So we're chomping at the bit. All the guys are really kind of relaxing before school goes right now, and it's driving the coaching staff crazy because we're really wanting to take off and run, but we got to let the guys relax a little bit. But we think it's going to be a really good year, man, and not just on the wins and losses column too, but just how guys compete. We've seen a lot of growth this summer, and hopefully that growth will continue during the preseason. And that's one of the things that Doug talks about all the time. We want to be that team that's fun to watch. We want to have guys that are taking risks and going out there and trying to score points, and we want to make the sport more popular. And we're going to try and do our part with that. We're going to try and put a fun team out there that's scoring a lot of points, and everybody wants to come to West Gym and pack it in there and get that heat going and make it a great environment. And that's Missouri's going to be that way, man. It's going to be rocking, and that's going to be my first real experience in West for a duel. So, man, I can't wait. It can't come fast enough for me.
You're not going to be putting a singlet on. It seems like you're ready to go yourself.
I'm about to go out for a run after this, Scott. You got me fired up now, man. I gotta go get a sweat in.
Any chance the purple of Lee Roper, the new purple T-shirt of Lee Roper, will be seen at the Great Iowa State Fair? It got underway yesterday, and there's 10 big days of it, Lee, here in Des Moines. What are the chances of us seeing you here in Des Moines at the Iowa State Fair?
I've been hearing a lot about it, and it's a big deal out here. But we're going to be leaving here in a few days to go out to the Olympic Training Center with a few guys. So I don't know if I'm going to make it this year, but I'll put it on my calendar and make it out there in the future because I've heard a lot about it.
That'd be my pleasure. I'll take you to the Country Gold concert. How about that?
Sounds great.
Lee Roper, always good to see you. Even better to get a chance to talk to you and have you open up a little bit. Neat job by Doug Schwab reeling in one of the most sought-after guys in the country, Lee Roper. Well, he's landed at the University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls in the Great Cedar Valley, and it's on for the balance of the schools, not only in the state, but those in the country. I guess you guys are all put on watch. Lee, thanks for the time today. Appreciate you jumping into the Nike hot seat. I told you it wouldn't hurt.
No, it wasn't too bad. I appreciate it. You took it easy on me, Scott. I appreciate it.
That's the first one. Wait till number 2.
Oh, I know.
Lee Roper, I'm Scott Casper. Thanks for watching this very special edition of Takedown Media. The Nike Hot Seat, Lee Roper's been our guest. Thanks for watching.